Hey, Intro to Algebra. Today we're going to talk more about solving by elimination. We're going to have the same rules, being able to multiply both sides of the equation by non-zero something, being able to add the two equations together, and our goal is still to get one equation in one variable, be able to solve that variable and plug it back in to get the other. Let's look at this example. This is a little different than what we did before because notice we cannot just add these together and eliminate one of the variables. Subtracting won't also work. So we've got to do something that has just kind of one extra piece to it. Now if I wanted to cancel out the y's, I would wish that there were a -3 here. So I'm allowed to multiply both sides of the equation by the same thing. And I can multiply them both by a -3. So here then I would have 3x minus 3y equals -3. I'm going to keep the bottom equation the same. -6x plus 3y equals -12. And now you can see the y's are going to cancel out. And here I'm going to have -3x equals -15. Now you could have seen this another way. You could have said, what if we multiply both equations, or sorry, just the top equation, by a -6? And that totally would have worked. Let's just look at that other way. Here you could have multiplied by a -6 on the top, and then you would have ended up with getting the x's canceling each other out rather than the y's. That's completely valid. And this way will come out to be exactly the same answer. We're going to stick with this method since we started it already. I'm going to divide both sides by -3. So I've got x equals 5. I'm going to substitute to find the y value. I could choose either equation for this. I'll go ahead and choose the top one. So my solution is 5, 6. Now, if you had gone the other way and solved for the y first, it would have come out exactly the same. Okay, let's do another example to help this sink in. Okay, it's going to be easier to get the x's to cancel out or to get the y's to cancel out. I think that you might agree with me that it's going to be easier to get the y's to cancel out. If we want the x's to cancel out, I would have to multiply 6 by 3/2 to get it to be the same as the 9. And I'd rather not have to multiply by a fraction. So what I'm going to do instead is get these y's to cancel out. Because what I can see is that if I take this top equation and multiply it by 2, then I'm going to have 12x plus 4y equals 60. And that's pretty great because I can see now the y's are going to cancel each other out. So here I've got, and if I go ahead and solve here, and again substitute to find y. Awesome. Let's just talk a little more about this first step, figuring out which equation you should multiply by what, because I think that's the tough part. Okay, looking at these two equations, what do you notice? We don't have to multiply by anything. The y's will cancel. Okay, take a look at the second one. Nothing's going to cancel automatically. It would be hard to figure out what to multiply by the y to get the y's to cancel out. What could you do to cancel out the x's? I would probably take the second equation and multiply by -2, and then the x's cancel, and you'd solve from there. For this next one, think about how you would get variables to cancel. Would you do x or y? And what would you multiply by? Give it a try and then unpause the video and check your answer. The way I see it, there are two ways to kind of think about this. Method 1 would be to take the first equation and multiply by -2. And that would cancel out the y's. You might have thought of this as trying to cancel out the x's. And that absolutely works too if you take the first equation, or sorry, the second equation and multiply by -3. Because you can see here, the x's would cancel out. Let's go ahead and finish solving this one just for a little bit extra practice. I've got y equals -5, and now I can substitute to find x. So my solution is 2, -5. Awesome.